Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. We have a very special Fun Friday for all of you today. Every Friday, we're introducing you guys to something new. Maybe it's an interview. Maybe it's Julie and I talking about something way outside of the normal wheelhouse of real estate. But today we have a very special guest, a dear friend of ours, a partner at eXp Realty, and I think one of the most important, significant influencers in the real sense in the residential real estate industry. And if you're Hispanic, you certainly have heard of our good friend, Orlando Montiel. So Orlando, welcome to today's Fun Friday podcast. This is what we call it. We kind of talk about and do whatever we want to on Friday. Give ourselves a break.
Yeah, first and foremost, man, it's just it's always an honor, but more important, a pleasure to speak to you and Julie. We speak very often, and this is another opportunity, just face to face via Zoom. So hopefully the listeners get to enjoy what we have to talk about today, and we give them some value.
What I want folks to know, is I want them to get to know you more. I want to talk about your new book. But what I really love, okay, I'll set this up. So last February, I think it was, Julie and I went to an event in Miami, and it was Orlando's C5 event. And so Julie and I have been going to real estate events for over 20 years. And you know, if you've been to one real estate event, kind of been to them all, they're all kind of the same. Not until you go to a C5 event. I don't know how to describe, without sounding like I'm exaggerating, the energy and the enthusiasm and the pure passion that was in that room. We put pictures on Instagram back then, and there was like confetti, there's balloons, there's dancing.
Fireworks, yes, absolutely.
It was incredible. So, oh, by the way, if you're just listening to us, Julie Harris is joining us today, obviously, too. Yeah, so sorry about that, Julie. Yeah, so in any event, that was the first time outside of, I mean, really, it's the first time outside maybe a concert where I've ever really seen what a movement feels like. It's beyond a real estate event. C5 is beyond real estate coaching and training. It's something extraordinary. I don't know how to explain it other than that. And if you're ever in or around one of his events, you definitely want to attend, especially the big rallies that they have around Miami. But that aside, so Orlando, I'd like to have our listeners understand, and maybe some of your fans too, your origin story, like the whole thing. Like, how did you come about being such an unbelievably significant rock star in real estate?
Which, by the way, if they go to Instagram, Orlando V as and Victor Montiel, and they can see that they're constantly, my team is constantly posting things from those events you're talking about, which we do on a quarterly basis. So they can see the dynamic, and it's just fun, right? We say selling is a transfer of energy. And if you're in a seminar, all, downbeat and tired, it's very difficult to communicate and sell, not only sell a product, but sell ideas, which is what we try to do when we're on stage, right? So my background, very simple. I came from Venezuela to the United States in 1993. I went to Boston for the first year and a half. I went to study at Babson College outside Boston. And then I came to Miami. And in Miami, I had a very difficult financial situation. My parents have to go back to Venezuela, and I had to start from zero, like many other immigrants and many people. So I started from zero and started selling filters, filter water, things like that. I was a valet parking cars, doing serving as a waiter in different places, and I got the chance to go to work for Nations Bank back in the day. Now it's called Bank of America. And that's where I learned the true value of selling, learning to communicate and sell. And that changed my life. That was back in 1995, 96, 97, and 98.
So you got a real estate license somewhere in there, I assume.
After that, so what happens is there's a lady called Gloria Hockaday. She's the mother of a dear friend. And she said to me, Orlando, since you're in banking, and I'm in real estate, just get your license, stay in banking for now, and then whenever you have a client that wants to buy real estate, you just call me. I'll pick him up at 701 Brickell Avenue, very close to downtown Miami. I'll sell them a property. and I'll pay you a commission. That's simple. And she said to me, after a year, you'll quit banking because you will see way more money selling real estate than working for the bank. And I was making $70,000 at the time. And in the 1990s, $70,000 for a young professional was very good money. But when I saw the checks from Gloria, I said, man, this is a lot of money. I didn't quit the bank. I was fired. I made a mistake and I was fired from the bank. So I was forced to go into real estate, but I had the training from Bank of America, formal training. So within the first year in Miami, which is the mecca of real estate, I had the opportunity to be one of the top agents, and the association approached me and said, what are you doing to sell real estate? I said, listen, I have all this training from Bank of America and I apply it. Would you mind teaching some classes? Sure. And in one of those classes, somebody raised their hand and said, do you teach? I said, yeah. How much do you charge? I said, $500. And that's the way we got started with the coaching company.
That's basically, I mean, minus the, the Venezuela and all the rest of it. That's basically our origin story too.
Yeah, it's
I mean, somebody asked Julie and I at a Howard Brinton event if we would be their coaches, and we didn't even know what coaching was. And they said
right.
they pay us $600 a month. I'm like,
Right.
all right, I'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
Julie, what year was that? It was like 90. That was, no, it was what year would that have been? 99. Yeah, 98, 99, somewhere in there. Yeah, so the same thing. But that's funny though, isn't it? How we all kind of meandered into coaching,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So I'm curious because I often wonder about what Julie and I were thinking at the time too. But you're selling in Miami where the average sale price was so much higher. How did you go from like selling real estate to coaching full time, where the average commission, like sometimes people approach Julie and I, they want us to teach them how to start their own coaching businesses. It probably happens 3 or 4 times a month. And they sell real estate. And I asked them,
I would say a week.
yeah. Well, I don't
every week. Every week there's another coach, even in my organization.
Yeah. Well, but they have no clue how much harder it is to build a coaching organization than it is. This is my question, sort of question, is how much harder it is to build a coaching organization versus selling real estate, especially where your average sale price is going to be 7 figures. And they have no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like building a coaching business, especially for as long as the 3 of us have, is so much harder than building a successful real estate practice. There's no comparison.
Here's the thing, that everything, if you want to do it well, especially if you want to make money, everything is extremely hard.
Yeah.
If you want to make money selling real estate, it is extremely hard. You have to invest time, you have to invest a lot of money, and you have to practice a lot to become a good real estate agent. Now, don't think that you're going to go into coaching and then you're going to compete against you and Julie or compete against me doing it part-time and selling $500 coaching programs. It's just not going to happen. Now, if you say, which is what I did, right? And I remember my mother-in-law having a conversation with my mother, because my mother told me. She said, Orlando is going to stop selling real estate and he's going to start selling coaching. So how's he going to support himself and the family? So I'll figure it out. And I said to my wife, if I have to eat rice and Parmesan cheese, and we have to move to a studio, we'll do that. But that's my passion. Teaching is my passion. I really like that.
Okay, hold on. All right. So from what I'm understanding is, as far as your journey into coaching and training, it was largely, an act of God, basically, right?
At the beginning, yeah.
And everything makes sense. Well, so how did you go from your formidable years and all of a sudden, like I said, I mean, we formed a coaching organization, and Julie and I have been part of other people's coaching organizations, but I've never seen anything that was like what you guys have done.
Right.
Can you explain really what it is or how you go about, where's that deep rooted passion come from? That's really the core of C5.
So I would say number one, it's our core belief and our every single effort. It's not about just making more money. It's just for them to understand that it's a transformation, right? I mean, we hear the phrase before, which is just, don't aim for the $1 million just for the sake of making $1 million, but for the person you're going to become in the process. So these people understand that it doesn't happen overnight. It happens fairly fast, but it doesn't happen overnight. But what happens is within you, it's your transformation. It has to happen to you. You have to become that million, $2 million, $3 million agent in GCI, which we have many of those, right? So they understand that. And then we have them as examples. And we didn't start with 12, 1,500 people in every quarter on a room, right? In a convention center. But we started small, and we had a few people that were having success, then more and more and more. So I talk about belief is more important than knowledge. And then when they see other people on stage making $200,000-$300,000 per quarter as real estate agents, they say, well, and they tell me that person doesn't even talk as good as I talk. That person doesn't have as much experience as I do. So they start to believe if that person can do it, then I can do it. And then so we use that transformation, we use the method, and then we use the examples of those people, and we let them speak. It's just not a testimonial. So people start believing and start taking action.
Well, that's brilliant. I'll say the other thing that I noticed when I was amongst your folks at the events we've gone to is that there is a sense of entrepreneurialism and meritocracy. Like, frankly, I think most of the rest of the country has forgotten. I think it might be the fact that most of your folks are first or second generation Americans. I think that's true. And they have such love, and I'm going to use the word passion for like the 10th time. That's how my brain is wired when I'm thinking of C5, because that really is the key word is passion, real passion. But when we're at your event and we're talking to folks and, you know, and we're getting to know them, and a lot of them listen to our podcast, the amount of energy and enthusiasm and drive and pure entrepreneurial angst that they have, I wish that all of our coaching clients felt like that, because it's infectious for one, but they are so happy that they have the opportunity to be with you at C5, you and your brother and your great group, but also to be in America, and also to be selling real estate in Miami and around other places, because you have coaching clients.
It's the appreciation of the opportunity that we felt.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's different. You don't see that everywhere.
Yeah. And every time we do the event, which is every quarter, we are always setting a bigger future, right? So, and I mentioned, I learned from one of my advisors, my counselors, you know, it's Dan Sullivan. It's just, if you want to have a better present, you always need to paint yourself a bigger future.
Well, talk about that. Let's level off there. Talk about that though. So for example, like, you know, how does that relate to
every quarter, our retreat is every quarter for 3 days. Right. And the first day is all about goal setting. And then, okay, what are the strategies? What are the tools? What are the activities we need to do to accomplish that goal in the next quarter? Right. But I start every single seminar or every single retreat by saying, if you are setting yourself a goal that you right now, with your level of consciousness, knowledge, and ability can achieve, by definition, you've set the wrong goal. So you need to set a goal that you know right now, with the skills you have, there's no way you can accomplish. No way. If you know you can accomplish it, you set the wrong goal. But most people are in an environment that say, hey, Tim, hey, Julie, what are you thinking about? Who do you think you are? Hey, you know, come down to earth. You know, hey, be realistic. Now, being realistic is what demoralizes most people, because you're not going for what you want. You're always only going for what I need, and nobody's happy achieving what they need. Everybody's happy going and achieving what they want. As long as you go for your needs, you are never going to be happy. Ever. It's only when you go for your wants, and sometimes you don't get it, or you don't get it as fast as you want. But guess what? The progress is way, way bigger. So that's the energy in the room. And by the way, we don't applaud and we don't celebrate only your accomplishment. We celebrate your progress. And many of those people, let's say $500,000 in a quarter, and they did 250. Say, and sometimes they're frustrated. Listen, how much money you make last year? 200. In a quarter, you made more than you did in a whole year. So, hey, celebrate your progress. And again, remember that the goal, right, is not actually to reach your financial goal for the quarter. It's the progress. It's the exponential. It's the exponential progress you made during the last 90 days.
You're celebrating the journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The person
that's-
you're becoming. The person you're becoming.
That's
awesome.
right. And one of the things that I noticed at your event is, you know, a lot of people will celebrate only like the super top producers that are achieving at something that, you know, a beginning or even middle of the road agent can't even fathom. They're like, that's so far away from anything that I can ever grasp. And you really do celebrate, like you celebrate first deals, you celebrate, you know, first best quarters, listings taken. You do truly celebrate the journey so that they feel that resonates with them. Their success is incremental. It's not all about just, you know, getting to the finish line all the time. And I think
so
that's
we celebrate that.
Mhm.
We have you know, not a designation. It's just we celebrate what we call racing stars, right? That they made $80,000-$90,000, you know, from the previous quarter. Which, you know, to the people in the room, it's just not a big deal. But hey, listen, if you're coming from $80,000 a year and you make $80,000 a quarter, that's a big deal. So we celebrate that, you know.
Let me ask you a question that some might perceive as being slightly political, and that's fine if they actually perceive it that way. There is something special about somebody who has actually lived through socialism, who has lived through Venezuela, or has lived through these countries where they've seen the governments actually turn against the people, you know, overtly or so, you know, covertly, basically. And when they come to the United States and they feel what it's like to, you know, the opportunity that this presents, that's truly something really special. And then when you pile on the secret sauce of allowing them to think bigger than they maybe have ever conceived that they could think, that's the je ne sais quoi. That's the special thing. And I don't know if actually I was thinking as you were talking, I was like, you know, it's unfortunate, but there is this, I'd say this prevailing, and maybe it's going away now, frankly, but there has been for a long time, decades perhaps, there's been this prevailing energy, vibe, to sound like a kid, you know, amongst a lot of the real estate industry, or a lot, maybe even societally speaking here, where you're not supposed to be essentially out achieving your, you know, your competitors or your neighbors. Yeah, there's something like in real estate, very rarely is the word competitor and competition even used. But societally, even, there's almost like this socialistic blanket that's kind of settled over the country that for the first time, and then if you all of a sudden were to outperform and you were to break free of all of that, it's almost like, again, I felt this for a long time, probably my entire adult professional life, and I'm definitely not feeling it. I feel like it's going away, but we don't celebrate the people who are really like you. We don't celebrate the people that are like a lot of your C5 members. We as a culture, we've gotten away from celebrating the people that are really trying to, you know, bend the time-space continuum. And, you know, and like people will say, well, you know, Orlando Montiel is almost, it's got his, you know, yacht and his all these other things because somehow he's taken it from somebody else. He's somehow minimized, or, you know, he's doing like he has that because he stole it from somebody else, that type of mentality. And the exact opposite is true. You have the lifestyle, your you know, best agents have their lifestyle, and they're achieving the things they're wanting to achieve because they provided for other people. Motivation, enthusiasm, like you've just written a fantastic book. I'm looking forward to talking about it. But it's the exact opposite of what I think a lot of kids nowadays have been raised to believe. Like I don't know how to express, Julia, what are you thinking? We talk about this sometimes.
Well, we're talking mostly observing that, especially about Orlando's event and his group. And I wonder if maybe you can talk about that a little bit so that if we, you know, there's a lot of our listeners that didn't, to me, I almost look at it as, I know I'm interested in your thoughts on this. I kind of feel like it's an advantage to have come from that because you have a comparison and you know, hey, you know what? Make hay while the sun shines because there's huge opportunity here. I feel like there's an inherent advantage. And a lot of people say, well, you know, immigrants are all disadvantaged. But I think
not at all.
I don't think that that's the case. I don't get that from your group. Maybe you can talk about it.
I watched an interview from Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, last week. And the interview was about him and his best friend, Steve Jobs, right? And he said, I had the privilege of having all the disadvantages that allow me to be successful. Very cool, right? So what happens, and you see that in every culture, it's you can either decide to see the quote unquote disadvantage or the bad things, right? What's happening with the economy. Hey, we're in EXP, and there's still a lot of people complaining about the rev share or the model, the commission. Listen, just go to another company and see if you can have those advantages. You can, right? Or in any other company, you're always looking, oh, my broker is this, my broker is that. Then go to another broker, all right? So there is so much opportunity in real estate. I always say it, if you want to become a lawyer or an architect, an engineer, first you have to go to school. Second, you have to invest at least $300,000. And third, you have to spend 4 years. In real estate, within a year, spending $30,000, $40,000, even less than that, you can make a fortune, way more than a top surgeon in the country. Top surgeon with any liability and the expenses. So it's the way you choose to look at things, right? By the way, when Tim, you were talking about stealing, taking money away from other people. It's just, money's not scarce. Money's created overnight. So I talk about that, and I learned this from one of my advisors, too, Myron. It's just, the 4 levels of compensation, right? The first level is execution. People that execute, that do the work, make very little money. Very little money. The people putting the concrete and building the building make very little money, right? Now, the supervisors that lead those workers make a little bit more money. Usually, the people doing the work is $0 to $60,000. 60 to 120 is usually the supervisors, right? Now, where wealth start to be created, and you guys know that because you're wealthy, and you know the third level is communication. The higher your level of communication, your idea, where you're selling your product, your service, the higher your income. But the real money starts or develops with creation, right? So you see the people building the building make very little money. The salespeople, that supervisor makes a little bit more money, but the people that sell the building, communicating the value of the building, make way more money. But the person that created the concept, the building, that's the one making the most money. So money is created. If I have a need today, I can create a product. Now, granted that I have the knowledge and the skills, and I create money like this. You exchange your money for my value, and I can keep exchanging that, and people keep giving me money. It's that simple. As long as I'm providing value to somebody else, it's so much value that people, you and I as consumers, are willing to give our money for something of value. And nobody loses. You're not taking I decided to give you the money for your coaching, but you can sell the coaching. You created a coaching program, you sold it to me, but not because you sold it to me, you can sell it to somebody else. And you can create another program, another program, another program. Creation is the highest form of compensation.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is there's a direct correlation between the value, really, how much you've helped other people improve their lives with the service or the product you create, and the quality of the life that you're experiencing. That's it. And so if you don't like your position in life, if you don't like your house, your shoes, your food, your whatever the hell it is, well, I mean, you're the one ultimately that's controlling what that experience is. And you just have to realize that our highest and truest purpose on this planet is to be of service to other people. So just be of service to more people. And so then the next thing is how can I be of service to more people? It's what he just said. Orlando just said. Yeah, it's interesting too, Orlando. Most millionaires, most first-generation millionaires in the United States make it from real estate. And something like, Julie and I have done podcasts about this, but Julie, what was it? Like less than 3% of all even single-digit millionaires inherited their wealth. And so that's, again, people don't realize that's true, but most people in the United States who are millionaires, even just, 1 to 5, let's say, they created it themselves. And a lot of those made it from their own home. So they're millionaires because they bought a house and bought, right place, the right time. But what's fascinating is the people that really become some of the, the wealthiest folks, they make it in real estate, and then they leverage that into private equity. And so that's kind of where you're seeing your example of what you're saying. So the private equity being venture capital, helping seed other businesses, maybe, being on advisory boards and things like that. Because then you take your knowledge and you could, obviously benefit a hell of a lot more people like this, this Zoom or podcast that we're doing right now. Hopefully that's going to have the same effect, right? It's thousands and thousands of people that are going to listen to us. So hopefully we're motivating.
Yep.
So let's pivot. Let's talk about your book. Tell them about the title of the book. I know you're working on an audio version. I know you're going to you're doing a Spanish version right now. The audio book's in Spanish. I know you're going to be doing it in English as well. Tell them about the book. What motivated you to write it, the whole thing?
Sure. The title of the book is How to Make You, but more important, how do you make you and your family rich, right? And it's very important because it comes from my past experience and the experience that I've seen other people have for so many years. It's that we were not raised in an environment, most of us, I know you guys either, right? Most of us were not creating an environment of abundance, financial abundance. So I talk about the 4 M's, which is not something new. It's the first one is the mentality, all right? So if I don't have the right mentality about money, I'm just not gonna become a millionaire. It's just that simple, right? So it's just money is the root of all evils. I mean, what is that? Well, money doesn't make you happy. When you get a good commission check, doesn't make you happy? Of course, it makes you super happy. Well, by the way, when the contract gets canceled and you don't get your money, how happy are you? You're very unhappy. Money makes you very happy. Now, am I saying that only money will make you happy? Nothing in absolute would make you happy. Oh no, but the most important thing is health. But health only won't make you happy. If not, trainers would be the happiest people in the world. But if you don't have the money, you need what I call the 3 F's, right? The family, the fitness, and the financials. If you have those 3 things in place, most likely you're going to be a very happy person. But I don't know any person that is struggling financially that is truly, truly happy. But I'm not a psychologist, so I can speak in terms of family and, that I don't know that part. I can speak in terms of training physical because I'm not a doctor and I'm not a personal trainer. But I know a lot about money. I'm a coach in business, right? So I specialize on that. I've been speaking about finances for the past 18 years on TV every single week.
You said something that's kind of funny, and Julie and I've done podcasts about this too, but like the perception that there was a bullshit study that came out and it was proven to be a lie years later, but it was the one that said like that you reach peak happiness with an income of $75,000, right?
75,000. What are you talking about? Bi-weekly? A weekly?
Yeah, but the thesis was, it was obviously written by somebody
Not
who's
true, man.
Yeah, it's the hell no. It's of course it's
I mean,
not.
it's just such a the higher your income, the bigger and better world you discover.
Exactly.
It's just that simple, man.
Yeah,
because you have access to other people, the people to teach you new things, to open up to new ideas, to different angles. It's not only about the material part.
It buys you freedom. That's what it does.
It buys you freedom, of course.
There's no.
But they can argue that. I'm sorry, Tim. They can argue that with $75,000, $80,000 a year, you have everything paid for. Yeah, but it's a very limited life. And what are we here for? To have experiences, man.
But that belief that you can be happy, like the whole happy thing, happiness is a temporary emotion. It comes and it goes, right? But you have to wonder, like, who would want other people to believe? And I think that article is on CNBC too. So why would they have published an article that could be so, it's obviously just silly, letting people believe
But people, that's a thing though. And my question for you, Orlando, because we all have a similar mindset, so we're kind of preaching to the choir here. But there is a pervasive, people say, well, it's not about the money, or I'm happy making my 75 grand a year, whatever. So if somebody is so in that habit of thinking that way, that I don't know if more money is going to make me happy or not, and real estate is hard and it's going to take a lot of work, and they're kind of stuck there. And maybe this is part of your book. What would you say is an incremental step to get out of that mindset and into more of an abundance mindset? What's the first thing that somebody that's
first and foremost, every progress starts with telling the truth, right? So realizing that money will make you happier. It might not make you happy, but it will make you happier, you and your family. Right? So, and when you say, no, it's not about the money. Yes, it is. It's in part about the money, Because if not, you would be doing it for free. So yeah, it is about the money. It's not only about the money. And actually, the more money you make, it's less about the money, because there are other money is just one of the benefits you get through your transformation of becoming better and better and better and helping other people. It's just one of the benefits. That's it. It's one of them. But the reinforcement of helping other people and seeing them succeed, they pay you more, and then you want to become better to help them more, and they pay you more. That's one of the benefits. But yeah, it is about the money, in part, not 100%. So
it's a
how do
realization.
we start? By saying, yeah, recognizing, acknowledging that it is about the money, in part, not the whole thing, but it is. And money is very important to me, and money makes me very happy. It's not only thing. It's not the only thing. I'm not going to let my physical, my fitness, go to the ground. I'm not going to damage my personal relationships or professional relationships for money. All right. But realize that it's very important to me and to my family. Because if we don't recognize it, then it's very difficult to improve. By the way, second thing is talk about money. I have with my family what we call it's Money Sundays, right? They pick the restaurant. We talk for 10, 15 minutes. I bring my iPad and we do the numbers. I show them how much money I make, how much money we have invested, what are our plans, how much costs the next vacation. Because how can you improve something if you don't talk about it? You guys are a couple, and in order to improve your relationship, you have to talk about your relationship, right? If you want to improve your coaching program, which is amazing, it's been, out for so many years, you have to talk about coaching. So whatever you want to improve, you have to talk about. So the second thing is you got to talk about money. Most people don't.
It's true. Most people are taught not to. Isn't that what you're told?
Don't talk about money, but
don't talk about politics or money.
But again,
what do you say?
This is kind of a full loop conversation, because like when we were at C5, Julie, when there was an event, that's what the vibe was, that the unrealized potential that those people were experiencing, and maybe for the first time in their lives, because their cultures, where they came from, maybe their families never had them think like that. Maybe they never even, that was probably this energy is probably part of what we experienced there. But it is really fascinating to think that some people think that money doesn't make your life better. There are literally no aspects of your life that are not improved the more money you have. And sometimes, people will read, well, what if you have bad health? Well, if you have money, your health care is going to be better than if you don't have money.
Well, you can be sick and worried about money, or you can be sick and not be worried about money, which is better.
Exactly.
Yeah. And look, we're not talking about going out and, you don't have to go out and blow all your money on consumer items. Matter of fact, what's interesting is the more money you have, the less inclined you are when you go from, like, if you're a what we call realtor rich, where you just basically have a couple good months and you want to go out and splurge and buy some consumer items, well, go for it. But what happens is the more you're exposed to that stuff and the longer you've been successful, the less you are interested in those types of things, because you can see the compounding effect that money has for your family's benefit, obviously, but also just in so many other different ways. You can invest money in businesses. You can start, getting into venture capital yourself. You donate it, obviously. Julie and I donate a fair amount of money to Puerto Rican charities. We live in Puerto Rico, things like that. I mean, those are the types of things that money truly does, where you can start having an impact and choosing where you're going to have an impact. Right. It's a blessing, really. But if you're not experiencing the levels of wealth where you feel a level of financial freedom, it's probably because, I can't say for sure, but it's probably because you haven't bridged the gap between the realization that there's a direct correlation between the lifestyle you're experiencing, the amount of money you have, just cutting through the bullshit, right? And the number of people you're going to help. The reason Tom Cruise gets $50 million a movie or whatever he gets paid is because society has said, I'm willing to pay my $12 to see Tom Cruise in such a way that they're going to pay him 50 million, but they're going to make like 500 million, right? So they're seeing him as a good investment. That's all it is.
Yeah. So let's transition into the second M, which is, okay, how do I make more money? I get it. Money is important. Money will make me happier. Money will help my family, will help my community and the people that I want to reach out to and help. Great. Now I have that. Yeah, I agree. I want more money, but how do I make more money? Okay, so that starts with that. It's your transformation. There are two ways, right? Either you help gazillions of people, very little, like Taylor Swift, like Tom Cruise, right? When you go to watch a movie from Tom Cruise, it helps you really stress. You have a good time. It's not a big deal.
You feel good. It
makes you feel good, right?
Yeah,
when you go to a Taylor Swift concert, but she's helping millions of people. Very little, millions, or the other way, it's like doctors. They help a lot, very few people.
Yep.
Very few people. So one of the two, right? And how do, okay, so how do I help more people? And that's the basics, the foundation of my book, which is everything. It's all about transformation. It's a never-ending game. That's it.
Let me put this in here too, Orlando, because I don't want you to understate this, or I'm going to state it for you because you're not a braggart, okay? One of the C5 is so special because one of the other things that is so critical is if you really want to change your physical financial state, you have to change your environment. And maybe you can't. Maybe right now you're not in a position where you can move from
Yes, you can.
Well, you can. You have to get to it though. But my point is when you're reading books and listening to podcasts, and you start tuning into higher level frequencies, if you will. Sorry for sounding all woo-woo, but you are going to start automatically realizing the potential. But really, one of the shortcuts is to go to a C5 event if they're nearby, because that's going to put you rubbing elbows with other people that are also aspirational. So the environment in which you live in isn't your physical environment, your mental environment, your spiritual environment. All those environments really, really matter. And if you're surrounded by, an environment physically you don't really like, well, then you're going to have to then focus on maybe improving your mental environment. And you're going to have to surround yourself with different people and choose who you're going to allow to influence you. So if you're spending all your time listening to doom and gloom and going from going from one Facebook group, which is doom and gloom, to another, you're so mired. Exactly.
I've had several new coaching clients, and you wouldn't think this would still be happening several years after COVID, but a common thing that I'm hearing is I became home office during COVID. I never really, it's like they kind of went to ground and hid out for a while, and then they got really isolated, and then they went doom scrolling, and then they watched the news, and then all the political stuff happened, and now they feel like they're not confident anymore. Even some previously pretty strong agents that had their act together, they just lost their way. And I think what you guys are saying is, like C5 events, for example, that's a great mindset, cure. And I can see how your people get addicted to that because of what Tim said. That is a way of changing your environment. Even if you go back to your home office, you're going to take that with you and you're going to say, I found my people. Now I feel excited again. And I think there's a lot of people listening that have lost that, association with success, that something like C5 can put that back into them. I think that there's a little bit of that still floating around.
They're coming from
Orlando, let me drive this home. Okay. So if you're interested in C5 and EXP Realty, and you're prominently, I'd say mostly Spanish speaking, there is no better shortcut, to accomplishing huge things in life than joining with the Montiels. There just isn't. Not that I've ever seen. I mean, if you could capture just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of the energy that comes from their organization, you could be the rich. Elon Musk would be asking how you did it. I mean, honestly, it's just extraordinary.
I appreciate it.
But it's true. It is true, Orlando.
We have agents coming from 16 different countries every quarter. So what happens is, and I've learned this, and they learned that, right? The most important thing every single human being has, the most important thing is their environment. Nothing compares to it. Listen, I love doing yoga. I've been doing transcendental meditation for the past 20 years. There is no yoga session. There is no number of transcendental meditations that are going to make me better than the right environment. Nothing will make me better than getting closer to better people. So I've been on TV for at least 15 years, and I go every week, and the cameraman usually asks me, the producer, I say, I have this money, $15,000, $20,000. Where should I invest it? And my answer is always the same. Access. And they go like, access? Yeah. Before you invest in any financial product, stocks, real estate, whatever, right? You got to buy access to the right people that have done what you want to do.
It's
They're
so
going
true.
to guide you. They're going to tell you what courses, and then you invest in whatever financial product you want. That's the best investment, because there's a lot of people making money with the same stock. And there's plenty of people losing money with the same stock, with the same real estate asset. It's not about the financial product. It's about your ability. So your first investment is in access to the people that have done it, so they can teach you or guide you on taking the courses that can make you the person. They're not good or bad investments. They're good and bad investors. Big time difference.
Well,
So
you could, but Orlando, somebody can just, I want to make sure this doesn't get by anybody, because you just said so much really amazing stuff. They can make mistakes by listening to the wrong people. They
of
can't.
course.
And right now, and you, I don't want to get on my soapbox, but I have never seen so many charlatans and grifters in the real estate coaching and training space that we have. YouTube and all these other social channels has created just a huge mountain of people that are really, I think, ruining the potential of many, great agents. So 71% of all agents didn't sell a house last year.
Right.
Well, at the same time, we have this proliferation of marketing and branding, and there's a place for it. But if you're listening to somebody who's never actually sold real estate, if you're listening to someone who's actually, it's not one thing to sell real estate, it's another thing to actually have gone from selling real estate to then have proven your ability to help other agents sell real estate. So what? You sold a lot of houses. That's fantastic. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to show me how to sell a lot of houses. And finding that's, so you have a lot of folks that are doing, marketing and branding and all these things, especially on YouTube, but they don't have any real experience with teaching other people how to do the same thing. And as I said before, the teaching how to the coaching and training and teaching people how to do it is so much harder than doing it yourself. Selling real estate is so much easier, and it is hard, than teaching other people how to sell real estate at a high level. That's what people don't understand. And they're not picky enough about who they listen to, let alone who they hire for their coaching and training.
So that being said, and I want to, follow that train of thought. That being said, some people go to our events and they find it disgusting that we show the number of properties and the amount of money they made in the last quarter. We even show the checks, and we have this right here where we show the amount of money the agent made, right? The amount of money they made, and I think you can see it there. But then you can see you click on it and you see the number of the address, because it's public record, the address, the amount of the sales price, and the commission they made. And we also show the checks. We don't do it to show off. We do it to inspire you, to show you that it's possible, and to listen to the right person. When people come to me with that advice, it's just, don't tell me, show me. And I show you, if I'm talking about a book, how to become a millionaire, I got to be a millionaire. And the first thing I show in those and some people find it disgusting. But ask the person that is giving you advice, because like grotesque, I don't know, you're showing how much money, it does show so much show off. It's not show off. When you go to the gym, you don't see the trainer with a big jacket hiding their muscles. What are they? In a little shirt, showing you. Because if you see a person that is overweight, that is not in shape, trying to give you, all right, fitness advice, you're not going to take it. No. So the first thing is, if you're saying become rich, a millionaire, at least you got to have $1 million cash in the bank. And I always show it. That's it. But it's not to impress you. It's to inspire you, to let you know that you're talking to the person that is truly a millionaire. And you're seeing agents that are making the millions. Look at the checks, look at the address, and look at the commission. It's that simple.
A lot of people aren't ready for that, though. They're just emotionally.
That is their problem.
It goes back to your first point, right?
But we're looking for the people. Right. We're looking for the people that are ready. So not because some people are going to talk bad or are not going to like it, it's going to prevent me from showing it to the person that is ready to take the next level.
Right. Those are the people that, and this is what I was trying to thank you for actually saying what you just did. But those are the people that frankly are not ready for coaching and training. They're just not going to be, it's just not going to work because they still have something that's holding them back from actually accepting the fact that money is nothing other than the transference of energy. That's all it is. That's it.
But there are people in your audience who are somewhere in between. They're not quite saying, oh, that makes me uncomfortable to talk about money. I'm not used to that. But what you do at your events is it's like you're giving people permission to have enthusiasm for earning that kind of money as the result of helping more people. You're unlocking that and you're saying, hey, you know what? It's okay. It's kind of like we touched on before. It's okay to talk about competition. It's okay to win because you're in a meritocracy, because competition will root out people that stink at this business or really at any business, right? But you're giving permission to have that enthusiasm and as a result to invest in that person's future. It's those people that I think are, if they can cross that bridge into being coachable and say, okay, I'm going to change my mindset. Like you said, the first step is, how are you thinking about money? The first step is to realize, you know what, things are actually better with more money. Okay, so then how do I get there? And to unlock that. And I think that for many people, and hopefully we're going that direction as a country, I think for many people, it's like a cloud is being lifted off their shoulders and you're letting it in and saying, you know what, you can do and be and have anything you want, assuming that you put the skills in place and you stay on course and you be coachable. The world is anything that you want from it. And it's not disgusting. And it is okay to want to be that better person that transforms through the types of things that you teach in C5, and it's that path. So I think you give permission to say, you know what, it's okay to want to be more than I am right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
But by the way, we all have limitations, but they are so far away from where we are today that if you truly work on you, the whole discussion is about working on you, on how do you become better at serving other people, giving more value to the market. End of story. And it's a never-ending game, which, by the way, the more money you make, and I think, Tim, you were talking about that, the more money you make, the least you keep paying attention to how much money because there's so much reinforcement of helping other people that by itself makes you wake up in the morning and keep getting better and better and better. The best investment you will ever make, it's in yourself. End of story.
When you have somebody,
how much money are you investing in yourself?
That's the bottom line. And your environment, right? The books you're reading and podcasts you're listening to and all the rest of it. So when someone comes,
the rooms you're getting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you're right. I mean, if someone comes up to you and they want to invest money, you said 15,000, but if maybe someone only has, $50, go out and buy honestly, just go buy some books that are going to be books that have been around long enough that have proven their ability to help people be successful. You leave the true crime books up on the shelf, right? I mean, maybe think about something that's going to, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Your books, Julie and I's book, Harris Rules. Read something that's been market tested to proven to get people to where they want to be. But while you were talking, I had an interesting question for you because we experienced this when Julie and I started to take off. We've been married for 34 years this year. How about that?
Asians.
Yeah. So
to Julie, not to you.
No, that's my joke. You can't say that's
for you. It's been easy.
Well, so I remember when Julie and I sold 100 houses our first year. We had friends and family members that really didn't know how to wrap their minds around the fact that we'd done that. Not that we were necessarily they weren't, it's the money thing. The money thing made them uncomfortable because we broke out of this little cage that they didn't realize maybe that they were in. And all of a sudden we broke out of it. And we didn't go and parade around and say, look at us. And we weren't braggadocious. We were just moving on to the next transactions, But it is fascinating how many times people will be on the track to changing their environment in here and changing their environment out here. And then all of a sudden their friends and their family members start to pull them back down. They literally will reject them. Aren't you going to stop and smell the roses? And, why isn't this good enough for you? Or what's wrong with flying yak air in the back of the plane by the bathroom? You meet the neatest people, right? Those types of things. So when you have somebody that's in an environment where they have a very close-knit friend group or family, and the friend group and family is not supporting the people that they want to be, what advice do you give to them?
Very simple. I remember my first coach I said to him, I don't have the money to pay that, that fee for coaching. And he said to me, that is exactly what you needed. And I got in debt. I remember I had a Chemical Bank credit card. Chemical Bank doesn't exist anymore. And I put almost $20,000 into that credit card. Best investment ever. And from that day on, I understood the value of investing in myself. There is more than enough information out there. More than enough. What you're paying for when you hire Julian and Tim is not for the information. Julian and Tim, your value is the filter. You filter 30 years of a lot of information into actionable steps. It's like water. The most abundant thing in the planet is water. 75%, it's water. When you buy a bottle of water, you're not buying the water, you're buying the filter that went into that bottle of water. You can get the water from the street, but you don't drink it. It's just about the filter. So I'm paying you to filter that information that I don't have the skills yet. Does that make sense? So
No,
yeah,
it totally does.
So what?
Yeah.
So if you have kids, if you're watching this or you're listening to this, you have kids, right? Why do you put them in private school? To put them in a room of people where they can grow, they can see different angles, different perspective. Me as an immigrant, why so many people come to the United States for a better environment? Why do you pay for a $300, $600, $6 million, $10 million home? Because of the environment. If you want a better school, if you want a better neighborhood, if you want a better business, you gotta pay. You are always paying. You are always paying, right? So he said, let's say a coaching program is $100,000. The difference between an agent making $100,000 and $1 million is it's just what? Knowledge and skills. Oh, no, but they have access to other people. They have access to other people because they know things you don't know. Because if you get close to those people, they will shut the door on you because you don't have the preparation, the knowledge. So it's costing you, $100,000. The coaching program is costing you $900,000 every single year, not to know what that $1 million agent knows. So the person with the scarcity mentality thinks, how much is it going to cost me? The person with the abundance mentality says, how much is going to cost me not to take that coaching? Big time difference.
It's awesome. And here's what's interesting too. When you are the leader in your friend group or your family, and you're the one that's breaking free, not right away necessarily, but over time, you're going to look at what they're doing in their lives, and you're going to see that they've used you as a model to do the same thing. And Julie and I had that happen. Years after our first year selling real estate, we actually have friends and family members that came up and said, I knew you guys in high school. You guys certainly weren't the sharpest tool in the box. Look what you've done with your lives. And they then will thank us. You guys gave us the motivation, maybe not those words, but the essence of it is we showed them that they could do it as well. And so that's the essence of what I felt at C5. That's the reason I thought it was so special.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
I mean, that's truly what it is. By the way, Orlando, if they wanted to get hold of you, you know what I'll do, listeners, I'll put it in the show notes, but what notes do you want me to, phone number?
No, it's very simple. It's just go to my Instagram, Orlando V Montiel, Montiel, Orlando like the city, V as in Victor, Montiel, and just message me. I get a lot of messages on a daily basis, but I have a team dedicated to delivering those messages to me. And I personally make sure that within a week, fair amount of time, within a week, I answer to those questions actually. And those questions serve a lot as a content for what my audience is looking to improve. So
yeah, we do too. A feedback from audience is always the best thing.
That's the best, man. The best.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
So the book's title is
How to Make You and Your Family Rich.
Which is very aggressive, right? A lot of people
extremely, and I know, very controversial right here.
Right.
It's in Spanish right now. We're doing the reviews for the English version. Yeah. It's again, every progress starts with telling the truth. Don't you want you and your family to be rich? And if not, well, this book is just not for you. It's simple enough. Okay. Right.
Next.
But let's address let's address the big elephant in the room. Yes, we want to be rich, man. How do we do that? Well, it starts right here. I'm not saying I have all the answers and with only the book, you're going to become a millionaire. I hope this serves as a seed for you to understand the importance of money, to teach it to your children, to get you closer to your children, right? And to have a plan, not only to have a better mentality, make more money, manage it better, but more important, multiply it. That's it. It's that simple. Right?
I love it.
I went through those struggles. Hopefully, with that book, you can either avoid them or eliminate those struggles. You know, it's very difficult when you have a difficult financial situation, when you're struggling financially, to think right, to be nice to your spouse, to be nice to your kids. So when you have the money, your whole life dynamic changes for the better, for the better. You're a much better person to be around if your other values, you know, are in the right place. Okay.
Well, you're in alignment with your soul, and that's something that people, there's a spiritual, you know, religious element to this, though. And I know people are going to not like what I just said, but it's still true. You know, Julie and I were raised Christians, and we were definitely raised to pursue wealth, and we had to really wrestle a lot with that for a long period in our lives. And fortunately, we overcame it, and we were able to then start accumulating wealth. But what we really had to realize was, the evil is not in the wealth accumulation. The evil is knowing that you could and not doing it. Because in order for you to accumulate wealth, you have to help a lot of people. So by choosing not to accumulate wealth, you're essentially choosing not to use the talents that God gave you to help a lot of people. I mean, that's how Julie and I. But that's it. I mean, and everyone has it too. It doesn't really, you know, what's so funny is nowadays, if you have an internet connection anywhere in the world, you don't have to have a fancy education. I don't think any of us, you don't have to came from a family of, you know, rockets, you know, scientists. You don't have to have any of these things that all these, I think, you know, you were talking about filters, but almost like, you know, you'd never be in the right room before unless you'd gone to the right schools. That's the reason a lot of people went to these elite colleges, is because they wanted their kids around these other, you know, kids that were going to be the movers and shakers going forward. But nowadays, with the internet and with the things we're talking about today, you know, Elon Musk said it. I think he actually said, I forget how many children he has, but he's not even necessarily an advocate of them going to college, because you can learn pretty much everything you need to learn to be successful in life on the
podcasts,
exactly.
I mean, exactly.
And it does go back to what Orlando said. It goes back to filters. And so if you're not feeling optimistic, if you're not feeling excited, if you're not feeling like your best days are still ahead of you, it really is because of what you're allowing into your mental, emotional, spiritual, you know, physical environment. You're making the choice to allow things in your life that are leading you to believe that your tomorrow isn't going to be better than your today. And I'll say it again, the evil part of allowing yourself to think like that is because if you don't believe your tomorrow is going to be better than today, that you automatically don't take the actions today that you otherwise would have. So if you think, for example, you know, the aliens are going to land this weekend and we're all going to become alien stew by the end of next week, well, I guarantee you're not going to the gym. You know,
so let's address that, Tim, especially for the people that are not in their 20s anymore, right?
Yeah.
So before the Industrial Revolution, we had the kings, right? The czars, the big families around the world that control the money supply. They were the gazillionaires, and nobody else have access to this to it unless you were part of the family. When the Industrial Revolution came, then you have people that within 2 or 3 decades became millionaires, multi-millionaires. J.P. Morgan, Andrew Carnegie. I mean, those people became multi-millionaire. Then when the internet came, you had billionaires within a decade. Now with the new revolution, AI, you have kids making $250,000 when they are 21, 22. $250,000 a month. So they're becoming millionaires within literally a month. So it's to give you some hope. It doesn't matter what age you are, you can become financially healthy, right? as long as you develop certain skills. And for those people, and I was in one mastermind group that's one of the people there is an expert on AI. I want to just mention this because that got my attention. So he said, don't worry about AI taking your job. Worry about the person that knows how to use AI taking your job. That's very interesting, right? Very cool. So yeah, maybe in the future, AI will take your job, but way before that, it's going to be somebody who knows how to use AI.
We could talk about that, but there's zero chance AI
Right.
AI undertake. What's going to happen is
But
basically,
people,
yeah.
and again,
but emphasize what you just said, Orlando, because again, there's this dystopia.
it's the abilities.
I'm going to tie these two things together. So if you don't believe tomorrow's going to be better than today, you're not going to do the education, the coaching, and the training. You're not going to read the books. You're not going to listen to the podcast. You're just going to wait around and wait for the end of the world to. Your belief is that tomorrow is going to be not worth what today is. So screw it. I'm going to live for today, and that means I'm going to spend all my money. I'm not going to invest. I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to do anything. So there's these dystopian perspectives that come around on a regular basis. And the new one is AI is going to replace all of us. And as a result, you're all, right. People are not optimistic and excited about it. They're fearful of it. But the reality of it is what's going to happen is exactly what Orlando just said. Somebody who's not afraid of it, somebody who doesn't have an issue with essentially understanding that rich is merely where your money works for you, and you no longer have to work for your money. They're going to learn the various AI widgets and tools out there, and they're going to create things that create value for other people. And they're not just going to do it once. Like right now, if I wanted to create another business, it's something completely different from what we're doing. That takes a lot of effort. But what if I could create numerous businesses that are all basically where I have an army of AI assistants doing all these different things? And you could launch this great idea. Maybe I want to make a CRM. I actually messed around with this, and I asked ChatGPT and a couple of the others to look at the CRM code that was with these other websites and asking and then it wrote for me, not the actual code, but how I'd go about writing the actual code. I don't know code, but then I said, okay, so if I wanted to then hire AI to write the code, how would I do it? And then it gave me references to freaking AI that's writing freaking code. And I just wrote the roadmap of what I wanted my CRM to look like. I could create, with just me sitting in front of my computer, a CRM that would cost probably at least $10 million to create and maybe 2 or 3 years to refine. I can go out there and I can create whatever I want to with AI as an individual person, which means frankly, it's going to put in flux all the things, all the paradigms that we believe are just steadfast. College education, all these things we talked about. So you said it was basically the person that knows how to leverage AI, but it's going to be everyone. So if you're a firefighter, if you're a forward deployed service member, if you're a real estate agent, if you're whatever, and you start embracing the fact that AI is going to make it so that you can allow your brain to just really go in all these different directions. So let's say I launch my CRM that AI helped me make. And let's say it sucks, it doesn't work. AI creates me a marketing plan. AI does all the social media. AI does everything. It doesn't work. Maybe there's too much noise in the channel. Maybe it's not what the market wanted. What was my time invested? It wasn't tens of millions of dollars. I'm going to go on to the next one, the next one. Exactly. Or I can ask AI.
It's the greatest objection handler to anybody who has a computer and can type and read, saying, I can't do anything. It's that objection handler. You can no longer say, I can't because of the money. I can't because of the time. I can't because I don't know how to do that. That's closing the gap. And Orlando, to your point, the speed in which people are becoming wealthy is like this now. It doesn't take generations or decades. So to me, like now I'm certainly not anywhere close to an expert to using it, but now I have trained myself to whatever I'm struggling with or procrastinating. Now I'm going, I wonder if AI could help me with that. And it does. And it speeds everything up. So
everything.
It's great.
Yeah. Well, so let me tell you guys a story. And I'm on a call, an EXP recruiting Zoom, and it's this husband and this wife. And there was this computer, was this room, this whole environment. And she was sitting over here and he was, no, opposite. She was here, he was there. And we were talking, and she was late 50s. And she was talking, and she definitely was the more dominant of the two. And she was talking about her future. And she was talking about her future in a way, and she said 2 or 3 things, and I finally wanted to point it out to her on this, on this meeting that we were having that she didn't seem to have a very optimistic view of her future. And she said, and what she had said that triggered me thinking that was she said, well, you know, basically insinuating that she was going to live into her mid-60s. Okay. That's what she was saying. Well, I just want to have enough money to, you know, last, you know, the next 5 to 10 years and all the rest of it. To which I then started thinking, do you have some sort of terminal health problem? And so me being me, I kind of, you know, around the ballot asked her and she said, oh no, there's no problems. Remember her husband, who isn't saying anything. I didn't say that, but isn't saying anything. But every time she starts talking about this pessimistic view she has of her future of dying, for gosh sakes, he looks over at her and she's totally not noticing. So I asked her, I said, so let me ask you a question. If you had enough money coming in, this was from revenue share at EXP, enough, you know, how much money do you need per month? Well, to have really great lifestyle, 25,000. Okay. So if you had enough money coming in passively from EXP's revenue share that you never had to think about money again. So money, you know, rich is where your money works for you. You no longer have to work for your money. If you're at that point, you wake up in the morning and you're making this amount of money passively, what does that do to your perspective of how long you're going to live? And both of them totally got it. And then she started saying, well, I'm going to get in better shape. I'm going to start thinking. So where are you going to live? Are you going to live where you're living? What are you going to do? What are your experiences?
Very good.
And then all of a sudden that self-limiting belief about what her future was going to be like just got eviscerated because she now realized that there's an alternative pathway. It just that very moment. I mean, it was very moving for me to watch her and watch her husband watching her realize.
You see what you did? You painted a better future. And that's what most people are lacking. They're afraid because of or the environment didn't teach them how to do that. And I start many of my talks by saying, would you like to have a chef, a person that cooks for you Monday, morning, afternoon, and night? Would you like to have a personal trainer that goes to your house? Would you like to have a driver? And everybody's, of course I would. So imagine developing the skills to help other people that provides you with enough money to do all those things. Would you like to travel first class? What about private planes? Would you like that? Who's going to say no to that? Now, the thing is that most people, this is another myth, right? In order to make more, you have to work more. So working hard is not a competitive advantage. Everybody works hard. Got it? It's not about working hard. It's actually about developing the skills that will allow you to scale. You can work very hard 24/7, but if you don't develop better skills, you're going to make always the same amount of money. So it's not about working harder. As a matter of fact, one of my mentors, Dan Sullivan, says, if you want to make more money, you have to start working less. You have to start thinking and developing certain skills, to analyze your business. Okay, what are my people truly needing? Do I have those skills to give them what they need? No. How do I develop that? That is the real conversation. It's not about working harder, but most people told you always, you got to work very, 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 very hard. Yeah. You know who works the hardest in a restaurant? The waiter, the people cleaning the kitchen. They work very hard, way harder than the owner. But they never think, what can I do better? What skills do I need to develop to become even the manager of this restaurant and eventually have my own restaurant?
I used to be a busboy, so I know what you're talking about. But what you're describing are skills that compound, things that compound. So if you're just going to cut grass, that doesn't compound. You get paid when you cut the grass, or you get paid when you sell that house. What you look for are things you could do that, like, so money compounds. So if you're going, and the reason it does, the richer you become, the wealthier you become, rich and then wealthy, right? Some people say rich is up to, you know, there's a great book. I forget what it's called. I should find it. I might find it. One of the best books ever about money. Anyway, the gist of it is that you can work hard and become rich, but to become wealthy, where your money works for you, no longer have to work for your money, where you turn on your Monarch Financial, whatever it is, and you see what your stock portfolio did, you see what your real estate did, you see what your gold did, you see what your other things did. That's when the money starts working for you. You're not like, you can make more money passively from the, essentially from the compounding of that, you know, those assets increasing in value. You can make more money from that per year than you can earned income. And when you break through the threshold of earning more money passively, not from your own efforts, but from your past efforts, actually now, because they've multiplied, that's what true wealth is. And that's what your book is about. That's what, we try to help people to understand. And they got to give themselves permission to experience that. Because on the other side of that, when you're not working so hard to cut the grass or to sell the house, then you can actually give yourself the grace of becoming who you truly have the capacity of becoming. You can reach levels because you're not having to work 10 hours a day, or you're not, doing this, providing the services. Now you're still working, you're still doing things. We don't ever want you to stop like making a contribution, but now you can start focusing your energies, your God-given talents that you use to get to where you have financial independence. And you can start directing those towards other things that also are going to have a compounding effect. I mean, that's really what I never would have understood this had we not been experiencing it. But all these things, all these thresholds, all these, the ladder, everyone has to climb their own ladder. I mean, Jules and I started, our ladder was in the ground,
So basically, what you're talking about, it's what I'm talking the fourth M, which is multiplying, right? You will never become rich by saving money unless you are an extreme high earner. But let's say you make $200,000 a year. You save 10%, which is very difficult to save $20,000 out of $200,000. People don't have the habit. It's not impossible, but most people don't, right? After 20 years, you have 200. After 10 years, you have 200,000. After 20 years, you have 400,000. After 30 years, you have $600,000. You're not even in $1 million, not counting inflation, which is not the buying power 30 years from now of $600,000 is not the same as today. Right? So you have to invest what you call, assets, the gold, the investments, the houses, etc. So it's making sure that you work full-time on your job while on the side, part-time, you develop the assets that will make money work for you. Another one, this they say in Spanish, I don't know if they say it in English. Money, money doesn't go on grow on trees.
Right.
Time out. Money works and grows faster than trees. Way fast. You laugh because you know that.
If it's planted correct.
I laugh because
So what happens is at the
good.
beginning, you will work very hard to build your assets, and they will make you very little money. But after a while, you will make a lot of money and work very little. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Which, by the way, let me go back to another principle in the book. Making $1 million happens overnight. Literally. I know it has happened to you. It has happened to me. It happens to me in every retreat. $1 million in 45 minutes. More than $1 million in 45 minutes. It might sound, this guy, it's just... People make way more money. There's tons of people that make gazillions, millions more than me. So I'm not trying to flex here at all. So making $1 million happens like this. Now, becoming the person that can make $1 million like this is what takes time. Big difference.
But it doesn't have to take that long if you get into the right environment.
But it doesn't happen overnight. That's what I'm saying.
No.
But people say, I want to make $1 million. It happens very fast if you're the person that is able to make $1 million.
Well, there's making $1 million. There's making $1 million. There's saving $1 million.
Yeah.
And with saving, with that, then essentially making $1 million passively, right?
Yeah.
That's, there's cycles to all of this.
So
But
there are two different conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they are, but they're compounding conversations. They're the things, if you only stop at the usual first, get train stop, which is making $1 million, building your team, doing your branding, doing your marketing, doing all the rest of it, and you don't go on to the next one, then what the hell did you do all the first one for? Because you'll have nothing to show for it. And you're going to be looking in your rearview mirror at all your freaking plaques and your trophies and whatnot, but you're going to have nothing to show for it. You're going to be at a point in your life and you're going to say, I thought I was all that, but I'm freaking flat broke. It's because you didn't get back your ass on the train and go to the next stop.
So it's extremely difficult unless you're an athlete or an actor or a very famous singer to become wealthy, to make $1 million working actively, right? With active income. Very, very, very difficult. As a matter of fact, even doctors, right? They are practicing, they're creating active income, which is very important, your active income, the money you get exchanging time by trading your time. That's important because that's what's give you the ability to create that passive income, to create those assets that create the passive income. But again, the wealth starts with the passive income.
Yeah,
Sure. Starts to grow, right?
We actually have to get to another Zoom. Julie just reminded me and texted me that we're almost
It's
late.
1 p.m. already.
I know,
right?
we went over
Yeah.
time.
We could talk all day, all of us.
We
But I
could.
think the important thing is this conversation has been about, it's okay to make money. Money makes things better. It starts with being clear on all of those things and not always saying, oh, God, I don't even want to open my accounts. I don't want to look at that. Oh, I only look at it once a month. I only look at it when my accountant makes me do my taxes. Is that transparency and that training and the skills and the coaching and being around people that support you. I think that's why we all love talking to each other, is because we
Right.
kind of resonate that way. I hope that came out in the podcast. But I just want to make sure that our listeners are really clear that it's okay. It's more than okay to have these conversations. That's why we have coaching. That's why all of us care about all of you, is because that's not just okay, but it does make you a better person for going on that journey. So that's my last 2 cents.
And my final message, Julie, it's that it's a never-ending game. That the real goal here is to work on you. My main goal is to work on me, because the more I work on me, the better husband, the better father, the better professional, the better business owner, the better boss. So hopefully everything we talk about for more than an hour is the message. It's the money comes as a result of you working on you, that the best investment you will ever make and hopefully keep making, it's in developing yourself. Hopefully you get that message. And money is just one of the benefits you get for working constantly on yourself.
And there's no end to it. You always have to be you always have to be improving. Yeah, as soon as there's no such thing as complacency. As soon as you decide to stop trying to, get in better shape and improve your financial, improve your relationships, improve your relationship with God, then you're going to lose what you already had. So there's no end game here. So there's no arriving. Unfortunately, what we're telling you. So Orlando, listen, I really appreciate you being on this journey with Julie and I. It's our pleasure and our honor to have you in our lives. It truly is. You're one of the most influential people in the real estate industry, and you've become a real close and dear friend to Julie and I. And we're looking forward to, many decades to come. And so if anyone wants to find Orlando's new book, show it again.
You can go to, it's in Amazon. So it's going to be in April 23rd. It's going to be launched in English. And again, the same thing I say to you both. It's an honor, it's a pleasure to always connect with you guys. I always learn something new. I told you taught me some very important financial lessons too. So again, it's always exposing yourself. And you and I are very similar in that sense. You have no filters, right? So you said to me things that are very hard at the moment. And then when I cool it down, I say, you know what? You were right. So thank you very much for all those advices both of you have given me through these 4 years we know each other. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Well, God bless you, Orlando. And thank you for listening today. And guys, give us some, and again, if you want to get hold of Orlando, I'm going to leave a link to his Instagram down in the show description, and then just message him there. He's obviously a great guest to have on your podcast or on your TV station. He's all over, TV. He's everywhere. And absolutely positively, if you are somebody who would like to join the most powerful EXP organization that really focuses on Hispanic folks, you definitely want to join C5. I don't even know why you'd even think about anything else other than that. So in the meantime, thank you for listening. Have a fantastic day. Thank you, Orlando.
Thank you, guys.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.